Hey folks, this is Robert the Racin-teach, and look what I have behind me. See this big box? Look at that. Now I know it's transcribed here, it's reversed on the video, but that says Tenways AGO X. Inside this box is one of the first in the United States Tenways AGO X mid-drive e-bike. And I'm going to unbox this thing, get it out, and start riding it. So looking forward to giving you the feedback on it. And I'm really excited because I think this is going to be, I know there's a lot of new stuff coming in e-bike, but I think this guy is going to be the ticket to go. Tune in and take a look at the unboxing. So one of the first things you're going to know is this box is huge. So you're going to need to have the space to do it. Very well thought out. Big, heavy, thick box. So, you know, the bike is got some heft to it. But I really like, you know what this is. You know, you're going to get this. You're going to order this. It's going to be there. You're going to know what's in it. Good and bad, right? We do have a lot of porch pirates these days. But, you know, hopefully not an issue. And hopefully you can secure your packaging. But that's pretty cool that they show that on the bike. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and attempt to open this. I'm actually going to do this in two different places. So right now I have this in the garage. I'm going to get through this box. Now, because these bikes are so heavy, what I usually do is I will cut it along that edge there, cut it along that edge there, and then I will pull that page down and then slide the bike out. So that seems to work really good for these heavy e-bike builds. So what's really cool with these bikes is that when they come, they're pretty much 3/4 of the way built. And you'll notice that they've really taken a lot of care to put these new foam blocks in here. Several of the e-bikes that I've built have done this. They have these blocks. So they're keeping these boxes from being crushed. There's your seat, handlebars, tire. This bike, the rack's already mounted. So we got a lot of cushions here, parts box. Box is really good. This would be a really good storage box if you can actually save it to ship other bikes around. This is a really heavy duty thick box, so you can see that's pretty thick. Okay, it's what, 1, 2, 3 ply at least. Okay, so like I said, these bikes are heavy to lift. If you don't have someone to help you, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the seam right here straight down with a box knife, a real good one, and that way I can just slide the bike out of the box. All right, so there you go. That's how it comes with the package here. And you know, if you can start grabbing stuff like the seat, things like that, cut some of these zip ties and loosen certain things so it makes it easier to drag the bike out, or basically everything will drag out in one movement here. So you take out these space blocks to create some space and you can drag this thing out. So next thing you should see the box cut open and the bike. So here we go. Okay, so there we are. There is the bike. It's all nice and wrapped up. The box is open. So now what I'll be able to do is take this, slide it. Now I know I said if you want to save the box for shipping it, you can then just have to lift the bike out. There are two boxes that were right here. And now don't mind the mess because I've got a couple projects going on. Battery comes out of the bike. It's in its own box. And these are like pedals and tools and some other things. The charger, possibly the display. We'll see. But this is the first time this bike is seen here. Those are some beefy tires, tell you right now. I like it so far. I haven't seen the color yet. I don't know what color this bike is. So I'm kind of in a mystery with you all. Like I said, the box just appeared one day. I have no idea why. But I'll tell you what, that brake rotor is pretty beefy. So this bike has got some oomph behind it. But yeah, let's get this thing unwrapped and see what color it is. Okay, so we have changed locations because it's 1,000 degrees in the other place. And I need to do this in air conditioning. So I'm doing this in the living room of my house. Why not? The bike is clean. It's a beautiful bike. Wait, I can't tell with all this thing. So I'm going to take care of that right now because I got my handy dandy wire cutters. And I'm going to go in here, start snip, 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 and we're gonna have a bike color in a couple seconds. Presto, magic. And boom, there it is. This is the new Tenways AGO X. It is a sweet looking mid-drive e-bike. Comes with that rack, which is one sturdy rack. Very sturdy rack, has a 25 kilogram weight limit on that. It is a mid-drive motor, and we're looking at a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 speed drivetrain. Did I get that right? I did. 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 speeds with mega range gearing. We're talking this thing is going to go anywhere you want it to go. And I'll tell you what, I think you can even mixed terrain ride this bike. And I'm talking gravel roads, maybe some light fire roads, dirt roads, as well as paved roads. Those are some beefy tires, 29er wheels. This bike is stout. I love the fade, that dark into gray. Oh my gosh, that's just beautiful. I love it. Now, I left the bike the way it came out here, and I'll tell you right now, this bike was super well packed. There was no exposed metal. Everything was protected with bubble wrap or foam wrap, and it came out traditionally like a bike should out of a box. One cool thing is the fork is actually the correct way. The way it's in the box. So when you do build your bike, make sure you loosen that stem and rotate the stem, not the fork. Okay, so you need to do that. We'll go over that in a second. So the first part with these builds, what happens is these bikes are so heavy that a standard work stand won't do it. Now, most people don't have a work stand for this bike. So here's the first thing I actually do with this bike. I take the kickstand, which you'll see on the chair here, and I mount this. Now, this kickstand mounts pretty standard for these type of bikes. Right there. These two holes right here. Remove these bolts, put this kickstand in place. And the reason why I do that kickstand is because I'm gonna now put this front wheel on, and now I can set the bike up on its two wheels in the stand and be able to put the handlebars on, rotate the stem, and do other things like that. But this thing's gorgeous. It's still got, that's the protector for the disc. So the caps are, all the axles are protected. QR, quick release front and rear, mid-drive motor. This right here is what's gonna really make this bike kick, I think. So I'm gonna put some things on this thing, get this thing up, and show you the finished product in a little bit. But just the quality and the paint is good, it's gracious. Yeah, ignore the shoes in the background. Ignore my air legs. This is where I do a lot of my testing, so I have a lot of stuff in this room. Anyways, awesome bike. You should see this thing up and running in the next frame here. Just like magic, right? Snap of the fingers, hocus pocus, alakazam, here we go. So Tenways really did think of everything. Now this is probably one of the best organized boxes I've ever opened up. It has everything you need to finish the completion of this bike. Now, check this out. This is not just some cheap piece stamped tool that you usually get with a lot of other bike builds. These are like serious duty wrenches that I'm gonna throw in a bag and keep with the bike. All the wrenches you're gonna need to assemble the bike are in here, and this is in the top. And then you remove it and you have your charger and your pedals labeled left and right. The pedals aren't so bad. I would probably, yeah, I'll try them out, but these are plastic pedals, and I guarantee I'm going to swap them out for something a little more quality. If I were to keep this long haul, I definitely think would change pedals. But those wrenches, oh my gosh. Anyways, and to go with that, the battery's in its own box, and we'll show that a little later. But I just wanted to show you this. This was so cool. Alrighty, so now I told you on the next frame I would have a full bike, but I decided to do some stuff first. Number one, I will show you about the kickstand. There's a little trick to it. Two, the fenders. The fender is, needs to be mounted. This bolt right here, it's a little short. Be very careful when you're putting that bolt in, okay? It's gotta be dead on straight. There's not a lot of threads there. You don't have a lot of space in that crown, that's why. So these guys here are plastic. Do not over tighten this bolt. You will split this plastic, okay? Be very careful when you're doing this. Snug it up. I'm using no power tools, folks. Use your hands only. Snug, 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 snug. That's it, okay? Don't need to crack that plastic. Guarantee you crack that plastic, you're not gonna be happy camper. These fenders are adjustable here. This little screw right here allows this rod to slide in and out. I'm hoping I don't need to do that, but once I put the wheel in, I'll know. Brakes, they do have this little guy in here. It's a little plastic piece right where my finger's pointing. See if I can get a different angle on that. Don't forget to take that out. That is a spacer. That's to keep your brake pads from punching all the way out if the lever gets pressed before you have a brake rotor in there. Take that out, slide your wheel in. Also, your quick release is mounted on the fork already. Little fork block there to keep it from collapsing during shipping. Take this off. You'll need to put it into the wheel, and then you can put your wheel on, okay? So a lot of people will be probably looking for the QR, thinking it's in the box. It's not in the box. The kickstand mounts right behind the rotor. So be super careful when you're installing that. And I'll show you what I mean by that right now as we go around the bike. Okay, so you'll notice that these bolts are recessed in. There's a small little cutout directly behind those bolts. Be careful that you don't touch the rotor. You touch that rotor, you're gonna get it contaminated, you're gonna get dirty, you're gonna have squeaky, squeaky, squeaky brakes, okay? So try not to do that. Just be very careful. Ginger it up there. Put the bolts in. Everything by hand. Do not use mechanical devices or you will strip threads. I guarantee it. Some people are like, well, I'm a pro, I'm a pro, I'm a pro. Fine, be a pro. We're talking very small thread counts here, very fine thread. You're also talking aluminum. You should know better, all right? So anyways, all right, so yeah, we're good to go. The other thing I did too is rotated the stem, but I haven't tightened it down yet because as we know, setting up a stem is very personal. And what I'm finding out is really cool is that most bars are doing this now, putting a little circle, some lines, crosshairs, and then some degree marks. And on the stem, usually the stem has one too, but this one doesn't. So anyways, here we go. Look at that, built-in light, fenders here, wheel, and all these plugs and connectors. I'll show you what we do with them later, all right? Ta-da! And there we go, we have a built bike. So everything's been put together now. Pedals are now on the bike. Remember, right and left. You can take the decals off afterwards. But there she is. She's all put together. Couple little things I think I would do. This little fender tab right here, I would probably take that and bend it down just against that to keep it from coming loose. That bolt, make sure that's snugged up. Your fenders are snugged up. And this is something I always do with disc brakes in general. You notice the nut with the quick release, I put it on the caliper side and I put the quick release on this side. Okay, so this is gonna be on your right-hand side versus your left-hand side, which a lot of bikes do that. Your rear one will be like that. If you'll notice, quick release is back here, okay? It's just kind of been an old trick of mine. Sometimes it's hard, depending on your fork, to grab and be able to lock that quick release down. So by putting it on the other side, I can just use the fork leg to tighten that up, okay? Now remember, when you're doing this quick release, it should be snug there, but like halfway, like right here, it should be easy to about halfway, and then from there it should be tight. Okay, hey, a lot of people make mistakes with the quick release. You should be able to push it in with your hand, tighten it up, center of the wheel. So back up to the bars. I got the bars kind of where I want them. Once I get on the bike, adjust the seat, a couple other things. I'm just gonna make a couple connections. The keys for the battery are right here. They're zip tied to the bars. A couple little things here for cable management. There's not a lot of cables on here, which is really cool. You just gotta connect these two right here. This is for your display. You'll tighten the display down. It comes loose, which is actually really smart because in transit, when these are like tight, they actually can get broken. So that was very smart of Tenways to leave that loose. It was wrapped up and covered up, so it's a very cool little display. We'll get that fired up. We'll get a battery in there. I'm going to square up the bars. So remember to preload your headset. You'll take this little plug off right here. You'll use the Allen wrench to snug that down so that it's not super loose to turn, but not super tight. Okay, it's kind of a little catch there. You got to kind of try it a few times. You don't want any slop. If you put your fingers right here and rock this back and forth, you'll see if there's any slop in the headset. You tighten this down, but let me go back and correct. These should be loose, these pinch bolts. These are pinch bolts on the side. These should be loose, so you should be able to rotate your stem. You're going to snug the preload till it's just, there's no play and it's easy to turn, but not super easy to turn, if that makes any sense. It shouldn't hear any grinding. It should be really smooth. You don't want it too loose, but you don't want it too tight. Just snug it in. Then pinch these two down, about 6 Newton meters. I highly recommend get yourself a torque wrench. You can get them in any bike shop. Small little mini torque wrenches. They're preset in the common sizes. You can get hex bits for them. This one should be the stem bolts are 3, and I believe this one's also a 4. It's either a 4 or 5. So I haven't really done mine yet, but I will be doing it soon. I'm going to go through here, make a couple of other adjustments. Make sure these are tight. Make sure this is preloaded. Adjust your bars to the angle at which you want. So this is where we come back to this dot here. What I usually do is I sit on the bike. I loosen this just a little bit so they'll hold, but then enough that I could actually turn them. Find the angle at which I want them to be at. Mind you, this is a large frame bike. Now I'm 5'11", almost 6 feet tall. This is a big bike, okay? So just be, if you're definitely over 6 feet. Now you notice right now my seat is all crooked. I've not set it yet. I just pulled it out. I'll throw a little bit of grease in there so it doesn't seize up. Also, when you do your pedals, put a little bit of grease in those threads, okay? Just a tiny bit. All right, this bike is almost ready to go. I'm gonna check the battery, see how much charge is in it. But maiden voyage, I feel pretty confident that this bike is good to go. It literally took me about 20 minutes to build. Now, mind you, I build bikes all the time, but these bikes are really a 20-minute build. I'll probably spend about another half hour on just adjustments, and that's one thing that I do. I'm going to question this saddle. There's a slight little relief valley in here. You can kind of see in the shadowing. I do like this shape of saddle. It's a very unisex saddle. The short nose is pretty common, but for me, I can tell you right now that this is too fat. But I'm going to give this saddle a try. I'm going to just level it out. And what I mean by that is I will actually take a clipboard, put it on the saddle. I put a level on top of the saddle, and I will start with this perfectly level. Okay? And that's a good rule for men, is to start with a perfectly level saddle. Then, for females, for women, I actually recommend tilting the nose down just a little bit. A couple degrees. Not a lot, but a little bit of nose tilt down. Some guys also like the nose tilt down. But a level saddle is a good start, and then you go from there. Some guys actually like a tilt up. Depends on the shape of the saddle. This is a wide saddle. If you have wide sit bones, you have a lot of pretty good foam in here. It's actually quite soft saddle. So we'll try this saddle out tomorrow. I think it's gonna be a good commuter saddle, hopefully. If not, I got another one to throw on there. But otherwise, this bike's pretty neat. I like the integrated headlight, but what do you think is a problem? That brake line. And this is a common issue with a lot of the bikes lately. A lot of e-bikes have come out and the cable goes right in front of the light. And these lights aren't very bright. I mean, they're bright, but when you put something like a cable in front of it, you can really mess around with the light. So I'm gonna probably play with that cable to get it out of the line of sight so it can sit like that. It might require an extra zip tie, maybe a little twisty something, you know, figure it out. Maybe when this is tightened, it'll pull it. We'll check it out. Anyways, I'm going to give Tenways a really good review on so far the quality of the bike. Seems very solid, worth every. I think this bike could sell for a lot more than what they're selling for. But tomorrow's ride day, so I'll let you know how we are at the ride. But that was the unboxing of the Tenways AXO G or AGO X. Have to get that name right. Anyways, I'll show you where the battery goes. Oh, by the way, battery goes right here. All right. So it's got really cool stuff on it. Textural brakes. It's got Dior, like I said, 11-speed drivetrain. It's got Sun Tour XCM32 ATB fork. I mean, that's actually a stout fork. I'm impressed with that fork. Nice wide handlebars. Now, some people might have to cut them down. The grips are pretty nice. They're nice little leathery grips, and they're bolt-on. And mid-drive motor, sturdy rack. We're going to check out the lighting too. See if it's got brake light. Water bottle holder there. Kind of disappointed we don't have a water bottle holder there. We do have mounts for a front rack here, it looks like. Obviously the back rack is a proprietary system. It's mounted in here. This is a very solid rack, so big thing is to see if my panniers are going to fit on there. Plenty of room for a phone mount. You can do a stem mount for your phone mount, depending on what kind of mount you use. Here's your control buttons. And one thing I do like about Tenways, is that everything's simple here. Power on, up, down, boom, done. And we'll show you that a little later once the battery's in. Okay, there you go.